The Gaggia Classic Pro may very well be the best prosumer home espresso machine under $500. And that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to do a review on this, the Gaggia Classic Pro. We're going to talk about the building materials and the build quality. We're going to talk about the features and the haptics, as well as the ergonomics. We are going to take a look at the pros and cons of this machine, as well as talk about partner acceptance factor. We'll do a demonstration, and finally we are going to talk about all the mods that can be done on this machine. So let's just get right on into it. So the Gaggia Classic Pro is made out of stainless steel. This is a nice, really nice brushed stainless steel, and it is magnetic. Now some people are going to say, well, stainless steel can't be magnetic, but I have looked into it and there are some variants that are in fact magnetic. So you can put your WD-T tool there on the side, for example. Very convenient. Now it comes with this really large water container here. This one is made out of a smoky plastic material, which is something we're going to come back to a little bit later. Crap, I forgot the water. Next, it comes with these two tubes here. And one of the tubes is for sucking up water, and the other one is for putting the shunted water that comes off of the overpressure valve here and back into the water reservoir. So let's get this situated. Get in there. The next thing to mention is that it does come with a three-way solenoid valve, which is what this little metal stem is for. So that just gets put here into a little hole coming out of the housing here. So after you do your espresso extraction, the pressure on the puck is released by that valve and the extra water is put down here into the drip tray. Next is the drip tray, and we've got here a stainless steel cover to it, and it is a pretty large plastic drip tray. Now, I'm going to come back to the drip tray later when it comes to cons, but let's just put that in here now. It is made at least out of a pretty hard, pretty high quality plastic. So let's talk about the control elements. We've got three switches here on the top. And these toggle switches are really robust. They are really meaty switches, and so I think they're going to last a long time. We got the first one is for power. And the power button, by the way, flips back on its own. It's got a 20-minute timer on it, so it's going to turn the machine off after 20 minutes if it's not being used. Then we got a brew button, which engages the pump. And then we got a steam button, which engages the heating element to heat up to steaming temperature. If you press both of these buttons at the same time and open the steam wand, then you're going to get water coming here out of the steam wand. Okay, moving on to the steam wand valve here. It is a hard black plastic. It doesn't give me the best feeling. I would prefer that this was made out of a different material. It feels like a hollow plastic. Actually, you can bend it a little bit. So I would wish that they would use something else, but so far it has worked for me just fine, but it is a little bit slippery to grip, especially if your hands are a little wet. So keep that in mind. Then we got this steam wand here. So this steam wand, it's, by the way, not a non-burn steam wand. So be careful when you touch it because it does get hot. In fact, it's hot right now. It's got a 2-hole tip on the bottom. And this steam wand, this one only swivels. As you can see here, it just swivels back and forth. And there's two things to mention about this. It does not swivel like up and down, so it doesn't rotate that way. With that being said, the angle here is fixed. There's not much space here in between the tip here of the steam wand and the casing of the espresso machine. There's little space to actually get your milk pitcher in there. Okay, so how do you fill the machine up with water? That's actually very convenient. It's just got this little plastic top here that you can take off, and there's an integrated funnel. So you just pour the water in from the top, and I find that very ergonomic and very convenient. It comes also with a very hefty portafilter. This portafilter does weigh 512 grams, so it's very hefty. It is, I believe, chrome-plated brass, and it comes with a double spout. And this machine, by the way, comes with 3 different baskets. It comes with a single, with a double basket, as well as with a pressurized basket and a little nipple that you can put in here to use with that pressurized basket. But I don't bother with that. Let's stick that in there. All right, just a couple more things to mention as far as features on this machine go. As I mentioned, it turns off after 20 minutes, but it does have a very nice, fast heat up time. And not only does the machine heat up quickly, but it actively heats this portafilter as well, which is a huge advantage. Most machines in the cheaper range do not heat the portafilter, and that's really important. You want the whole path of the espresso to be at the same temperature, ideally. So from the shower screen down onto the basket, onto the portafilter, and down into the cup, which is ideally also pre-warmed, you want that all to be at the same temperature to get the best extraction. So kudos to Gaggia for making this here a heated brew group. One more thing to mention, as far as heating is concerned, the boiler inside, it's aluminum. Now that's going to put some people off, but it should be said that inside is not stainless steel, it's actually an aluminum boiler. All right, let's go ahead and talk about ergonomics. So as far as I'm concerned, this is really my favorite prosumer machine in the sub $500 category, but it is a completely manual machine. That means there is no volumetric dosing, so you start it and you stop it with this switch. Same thing for steam. If you turn the steam on and forget about it, you might even burn out the heating element. So keep that in mind, it is a completely manual machine. Also, after you steam, well, the boiler is going to be at a really hot temperature. So you also have to remember to cool down the boiler afterwards by running water through it and opening up the steam valve. So that's really something important to me to keep in mind. With this machine, you're basically buying a stick shift car, whereas with other machines, you're kind of buying like an automatic. Something else to keep in mind, and this is one of my pet peeves with this machine, is that there's no low water sensor in here either. So considering that there's no low water sensor, sometimes I'll be pulling a shot and run out of water, and that's so annoying. All right, well, let's just go ahead and talk about the pros and cons of the Gaggia Classic Pro. Pro for me, build quality. This has got an excellent build quality. Number 2, excellent espresso and milk steaming capabilities. Number 3, something I think is really cool, is it's got a very high modability, and we'll come to that a little bit later. There's one more thing I want to mention. This machine is wonderful because there's so many people who just love it. And so there's excellent communities behind this machine. You've got Facebook communities. I'm sure there's Reddit communities on this. And you can also even order all kinds of parts to mod this machine online. Now let's talk about the cons of this machine, and they mostly are about ergonomics. So one con for me, and my biggest pet peeve, is the fact that this container here is a smoked color, and actually how this machine is designed is that it throws a shadow this way so that it's really hard to see how much water you even have in there. So that, I think, is really annoying. The second thing that I wish was a little different is I wish that this here was on a ball joint so that you could adjust the angle on it and adjust it here further away from the base here, because it's not that easy to steam milk. And that's the third thing. Steaming milk with this machine does require a lot of practice. The fourth thing that I see as a con is there's very little space here between the bottom of the portafilter and the top of the drip tray. So if you put a scale on there, and if you try to fit an espresso cup underneath there, well, you can't. Maybe a cappuccino cup? No, that doesn't work either. So that's like super annoying. What you can do instead is get a bottomless portafilter. I do have one of those, and it's what I generally use. Or you can just remove the drip tray and you can put a little cup underneath there to catch the water that comes off of the puck after the extraction. Now you've got some space. So now you can fit just about whatever you want underneath there. But that, I think, from a design constraint, that's pretty annoying. So that's going to bring us right away to our partner acceptance factor. So I think this is a great machine to use if you're really into espresso, if you don't mind everything being manual, because you're going to get for the money really excellent results in the cup. However, the partner acceptance factor on this machine is very poor in my opinion. And the reason is because of what I've mentioned. It is manual, so you have to remember to start and stop on your own. You have to remember to turn the steam off. And in particular, steaming with this machine is a challenge. And also in my household, my wife thinks that this machine is ugly. She doesn't like the straight edges, she doesn't like the look of the industrial buttons here, but that's just all a matter of taste. What do you guys think? I think it's handsome, especially with the brushed aluminum, and I like these rocker switches. What I can say is the ergonomics on this machine make it not the best candidate in regards to partner acceptance factor. So let's talk about modding right now. So far, I've just installed 2 mods. I've got the 9-bar spring in here. I'll put a link of that modification up here. I've got a dimmer on here so that I can adjust the amount of water flow. And in addition, there are many other mods you can do. One of the most popular being the PID mod, which would be a great one to add. You can add lights to the machine so that you can see better into the water reservoir. You can add a manometer on here. And the coolest mod that I've seen so far is the Gaggia mod. So the Gaggia mod kind of makes this into like a decent machine. It monitors the pressure and the temperature, and it makes this into an automatic machine that can follow flow profiles, temperature profiles. Awesome. Maybe someday when I get a little time, I'll try that mod myself. All right, let's just go right on into the demonstration portion today. What we're gonna do is make ourselves an espresso, and in order to do so, we'll use my trusty little hand grinder here. This is the Time More Nano. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And we're gonna go ahead and put 15 grams of beans in there. All right, so next we'll do a little bit of WDT. Make sure everything is distributed nicely. And we'll give her a good tamp. Let's go ahead and lock that in the machine. And I would like to measure the extraction for a 2-to-1 ratio. So I'm gonna get myself set up with the scale. And now let's give it a shot. Okay, 2-to-1 ratio, there we go. So we did get that 2-to-1 ratio a little bit quick there in about 20 seconds or so. I will grind 1 click finer next time to get that ratio closer to being done in about 25 seconds. But let's see, how does it taste? A little bit of bittersweet chocolate in there, and a little bit of sweetness too. All right, so that's that. There's our espresso extraction. Now let's move on and do some milk steaming. All right, so as I've mentioned, milk steaming with this machine is challenging. Some tips: get some fatty milk. This is 3.5% fat. It's easier to do normal milk than it is to do soy milk or oat milk. Here is the really important thing. With the Gaggia Classic Pro, you gotta turn the steam switch on and you gotta wait about 20 seconds. You don't wanna wait for this light to light up here, because by that point, it's too late. By that point, it has reached its thermostat to be at that steaming temperature, and it's not actually actively heating anymore, and you're gonna quickly run out of time. So we're at 20 seconds. I'm gonna let out the condensation, and I'm going to get going here. So you wanna inject some air right away and get it rotating. Now if you do this right, and it does take practice, inject air, get it to rotate, and then start incorporating. This can make really delicious milk foam. You see it at the top starting to turn into paint there, starting to really incorporate nicely. And that's getting plenty hot. It's still got power. All right, that's hot enough. Got to remember to turn that off. and wipe that off immediately or it's going to get really crusty. Okay, now we got some nice milk. And here's a second tip. I like to use the 2-pitcher method. This one is empty. And to further incorporate the milk, because it's a little foamier on top, I'm just going to pour this one into here. And now I'm going to dump my espresso in there. And one last tip is to add a little bit of cocoa powder on top. That does help to make it a little bit prettier for your latte art. Okay, I did not steam all that much milk that time. I should have steamed a little bit more, but I did get a little bit of latte art. And how does it taste? Very smooth. It is a really nice milk foam you can make with this machine, but it does require practice. And I need to get back into better practice with this machine and with doing some latte art. And now it's important to cool down the boiler. So we're going to flip these 2 buttons and open this valve. And now the boiler is cooled down and ready for the next espresso extraction. All right, guys. I hope that this video was helpful for you, and if so, please give it a like. Check out my other videos. If you like what you see, subscribe to the channel. It's totally free. And until next time, I say happy coffee drinking and happy espresso drinking. Bye now.